Hi everyone, Grant for the Flame Learning channel. In this video dealing with the effects environment, you'll learn about the ability to set searchable presets. So if you navigate your sequence through searching and filtering, this will certainly speed up your workflow. If you wish to follow along, all you need is an edited sequence and the metadata in your segments to use for presets. So here's an example of a typical sequence in a timeline view that consists of a variety of edits and transitions. You could be doing effects work or grading, but search presets work the same for both. Let's switch over to the effects environment and look at the filtering and search options. To filter a bunch of shots, you can just select them in the storyboard reel and enable the filter button. This will isolate the shots based on their selection. That can be considered as the first way of creating an isolated selection of shots. If you wanted to search the sequence based on the metadata of the segments, you can click the Timeline Search button. This brings up the Timeline Search window where you can enter in a variety of information to perform a search. Now you can do this manually if you know the data, but since there is a primary selection within the storyboard reel, you can load all the metadata from the current selection. So there is a name, tape, timecode, and more. Let's say that we want to find all the shots coming from this tape without any timeline effects. So switch the matching to use any criteria below instead of every criteria below. Enable the tape option and disable everything else. If you click select at this point, it will select all the shots in the sequence with the same tape name. You would then filter the selection and you would just have the shots coming from that tape. Moving up from this, let's say you want to access the search quite regularly. Without presets, you'd have to go into the Timeline Search window and perform the operation again. Instead, you can click Add Preset. Let's call this preset Tape 1. Clicking on the pull-down arrow, the preset is available, and this is where you can also delete it if required. If you exit the Timeline Search window, you'll see the preset is also accessible as a quick option. Whenever you need it, you just choose it through the menu. This will select all the shots matching the search criteria. Enabling the storyboard reel filtering will hide all the unselected shots. Now let's create another preset. This time, I'll go to the end of the sequence and I'll call up the Timeline Search window again. If you want to clear the search window, just click Reset. This time, I'd like to create a preset that finds all the segments with beach in the segment name. So you enable the Segments option and choose to search by name. In the text box, you would type beach. Now all the segments containing the word beach will be selected. You can also choose different search arguments using the pull-down menu. For instance, you could search for all segments that don't contain the word beach. There is also a pattern search that you could define with words and asterisk symbols to create a wildcard search. Now you can press select to see the search is working, but you can also immediately create a preset. Let's call this one Beach. Once the preset is created and you exit the Timeline Search, all the shots with beach in the name are selected. Now enable filtering to isolate the selection. What this means is as you are working, you can toggle the different search presets to access these shots immediately. You don't need to disable filtering, and you won't need to open the search window. Just click the drop-down menu and choose your preset. Whichever segments meet the criteria will be displayed and filtered. You'll note that some of the segments fall in both presets, and there is no limit as to how you can set up your search presets. So working in the effects environment, it's easier than ever to switch between different segments based on their metadata and a search. Now, as an extra bonus, this does affect the way the main timeline search works as well. Switching back to the timeline view, you can access the timeline search tools as well as the presets. So if you choose a preset, it will perform a selection based on that preset. So the main difference is that using timeline search in the timeline only performs a selection, whereas using timeline search in the effects environment allows you to create a selection, and you use the filter option to isolate that selection in the storyboard reel. Now here are 2 extra points worth mentioning when it comes to the differences between searching the timeline and searching within the effects environment. Firstly, searchable presets in the effects environment only work with segments. In other words, if I opened the timeline search window and created a search for transitions, like dissolves, this will work in the timeline view but not in the effects environment. For example, I'll save this as a preset. Coming back to the sequence, when you choose the preset searching for a transition, it will select all the dissolves in the sequence. Notice that with transition selection, the Effects tab is grayed out and unavailable. This is because the effects environment works with segments. Selecting a segment enables the Effects tab, and you can return to the effects environment. Coming back to the search presets, if you click the pull-down menu, all the presets, including the transition one, will be available. All the others will work as expected, but if you choose the dissolve preset, you will get an error saying the criteria defined in the search won't work in the effects environment. Just click through the messages and choose another preset. The second point has to deal with markers. If you're using markers as a search criteria in the timeline view, the search will select the markers. However, in the effects environment, the same search will select the shots under the markers and not the markers themselves. This is very useful for that type of workflow. So hopefully, search presets in the effects environment will allow you to move even faster between scenes, cameras, and all other criteria, whether it's effects work or grading. Remember, this functionality is also available in the main timeline view, which may help with other various finishing tasks. Don't forget to check out the other features, workflows, and enhancements to the Flame 2019.2 update. Comments, feedback, and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated. Please subscribe to the Flame Learning channel for future videos, and thanks for watching.